After Joseph rescued the Egyptians and the surrounding areas from mass starvation, Jacob and his sons moved their families to Goshen, right outside the main Nile Valley where Pharaoh and his people lived. And for a while, all seemed well. The Israelites were prosperous with both property and baby making, and Pharaoh adored Joseph and his people. But Joseph died, and the new Pharaoh did not care who Joseph was or the great things he had done. And now all these Israelites were littered over his kingdom, and I mean, why the heck are these Israelites even here? What if they tried to fight us? I mean, look at them. There's so many. What to do. Ah, I got it. So Pharaoh enslaved the people, ruthlessly working them to the bone. And after some soap opera level drama of a 3-month-old basket adventure, a murder, and talking bushes, Moses rose as God's champion against Pharaoh to let my people go. But in true dramatic fashion, Pharaoh refused, and thus began the 10 plagues. So after going to Pharaoh and being immediately refused, Moses turned the waters into blood, sent frogs, swarming gnats, flies, livestock disease, boils, hail, locust darkness, and death to the firstborns. It would seem that the sequence of events could only occur through divine providence, but perhaps a more logical explanation is available. Heavy rains are to blame for the change in the water. Red sediment was stirred up and turned the waters of the area red, much like when you stir up mud, the water turns brown. Due to the high levels of sediment in the water, the fish were only capable of filtering out the debris for a short time before they effectively suffocated, died, and caused a big stink. Frogs were a subsequent result of the high water levels. Conditions would be ideal for a massive frog love-making party as they migrated to the recently wet areas to make babies. There would also be a lot of casualty with predators looking for an easy meal, and Darwin's natural selection leaving the weak behind. The standing waters would also allow for bugs. Lots of bugs. Ever see a puddle riddled with bug babies? Take that little puddle and multiply it by a kingdom-sized plot of land. Those babies had a lot of places to grow, and plenty of decaying fish, frogs, and whatever else died along the way. These bugs would have had short life cycles, or eggs that were previously dormant waiting for prime hatching conditions. After these buggers grew to adulthood, the males began to swarm. It's a mating dance to attract females, and the bane of the Egyptians dealing with the sheer massive number of insects. You know what else loves standing water? Mosquitoes. And do you know what those nasty devil spawn do? They bite. The needle mouth inserts into their victim, and their saliva becomes an anticoagulant so the blood does not clot. Black flies, on the other hand, don't like standing water. They prefer water that moves, like a river. And these jerks aren't so nice when they take blood from their victims. Unlike the painless prick of a mosquito, black flies have razor mouths that tear open skin. Between these two insects, disease would be rampant. Bessie would be an early dine-in special for the mosquitoes, while the black fly bites were infected, leaving painful wounds. Once the bugs settle down, a massive hail-producing storm caused serious damage to the area and gave off ball lightning. There is some debate whether this type of lightning exists. However, there are reports of bright tennis ball-sized discharges near the ground or running on the surface. Or, by Egyptian standards, fiery hail. The massive disruption to crops made the local locusts go nutso. Under normal circumstances, locusts go through a typical molting cycle, camouflage and producing wings on the final molt, after which they happily disperse to find food. But the lack of food from the hail and the previous prime conditions for bug production led to two distinct events. First, lots and lots of locusts. The second, a physiological control mechanism change. Instead of reaching adulthood and going on their merry way, the locusts went across the area in massive swarms, eating everything they came across. And since we know major storms had ravaged the area with lightning hail, storm clouds dense enough to blacken the sky for days formed. All logically explained, all having rational, systematic thought to an unfortunate chain of events. No need for divine providence to intervene in the explanation of Israel's liberation. Heavy rains led to poisoned water, killing fish, activating the mating calls of frogs and bugs, while massive numbers of insects and storms destroyed the land. Except we're missing one. Death of the firstborn. No logic, no science, no rational explanation as to why only the firstborn suffered and died on one night. Perhaps then the 10 plagues that ravaged Egypt were not simply a miracle, nor were they chosen at random. Yes, the plagues are natural. Yes, they are divine. This chronology of natural events leading to Egypt's downfall and Israel's freedom are not only a miracle of happening, but a miracle of timing.